Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Isaiah 44, verses 9 through 20, we have a description of just how ridiculous idol worship really is. In there, it talks about how a person plants these trees, and these trees grow up, and they go through all this trouble of getting the trees the right size. And then with part of the tree, they cook, they create a fire, and they cook bread and cook meat over it. And then the other part of that same tree, they carve it into an abomination, into an idol, and worship it. And so it's being brought out, just how ridiculous that is. On one part of this tree, you're burning it and using it to cook food on. And on the other half, you're turning it into what you think is a god and worshiping it, and seeing the inconsistency there. And it just shows, that these idols really have no power in and of themselves. They're just things that mankind has created and have built themselves. And I think that it's, before we're too hard on the people who did this idol worship, and before we laugh too hard as we're reading these verses, we need to recognize too that we might do the same things. I think there's a tendency in human nature to put our trust in the things that we construct, that we build, whether it's an idol like this, or it's our finances, our bank account that we've built up over the years, or our retirement fund, or our career, or something like that. There's a tendency, there's a temptation to put our trust in the things that we ourselves have built. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, the things that we've built, that we feel like we've constructed on our own, we feel like we have control over those things. We feel like we can put our trust in them because we have control over them. A person who constructs an idol has control over it. They can put it where they want to, they can place it where they want to, they can carve it into any shape or form that they want to. They have control over it, and then they put their trust in it. And the same thing can be true with our finances, our careers, our retirement fund, whatever it might be. We feel like, well, because I've built this, because I've constructed this, whatever it might be, then I have control over it, and therefore I can put my trust in it, which is completely off. It's not even a very logical way of looking at things, even though naturally we do tend to have that. We tend to be bent in that direction. There's problems with that approach. For one, it's kind of is based on the assumption that we build anything on our own. It's based on the assumption that we can build our bank account on our own, or we can build our career on our own, or anything else on our own. Anything that we've been able to build, so to speak, is purely by the grace of God, purely because either the Lord helped us do it, or He at least allowed us to do it. And everything is under His control. And so to think that we've constructed anything on our own is really just a misunderstanding of the facts. Whatever we have is because God's allowed us to have it. And if there's no other reason why we shouldn't trust in those things, it's that very reason. It's because we really should be placing our trust in the very God who allowed us to be able to build those things in the first place. And the other thing is that these things that we build and construct don't have any power in and of themselves. Think about the idol. This person is constructing this idol, maybe making it look real fancy and nice. But at the end of the day, it doesn't have any more power than the person who built it. And the same thing is true with the other things that we build in this life. Money doesn't have power in and of itself, in the sense that it's really just paper that can lose its value in a moment. You can just look at history and see how that has happened time and time again. We could also talk about our career. If you personify it, you could think about it as something that doesn't really have power to really put you in control or to help you in any way. We all know that we could lose our career. Maybe our health could fail or something like that, and we have to quit our jobs, or someone else could come in who's more qualified than us and end our career, or at least put a ceiling over how far up we can go in our career. These things cannot help us in and of themselves. And so we have to rely on someone else, someone higher than these things, and place our trust in Him. Even though it might seem comforting, it might seem as though it gives us greater assurance to trust in the things that we've built, we got to recognize that ultimately these things can't help us. Ultimately, these are just things that have no power in and of themselves, and we wouldn't even have if it wasn't for God himself. So why don't we just trust in the God who has supplied us with these things and has blessed us with these things in the first place? And so that can be our encouragement today. What are the things that we have in our lives that we've been putting our trust in? The things that we've built with our own hands, at least we feel like we've built with our own hands. What are some of the things that we've perhaps placed our hope in, our trust in, and maybe even worshipped in a sense, and placed greater honor to than even God himself? We can do some soul searching. We can look within our hearts and say, what are these things that are taking my attention away from the Lord, taking my trust away from the Lord, and deal with those things and bring them to the Lord and tell the Lord, you know what, I don't want to trust in these things anymore. I want to trust in the true and living God, the one who truly has the power, the one who's truly in control, and give my life over to him. So let's be encouraged to do that today as we read Isaiah chapter 44. And with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.